Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vivid Voices podcast, a space where we dive into stories of leadership, change, and the people shaping the future from where they stand. I am your host. I am Kirsty. I am a student from University of Sheffield, United Kingdom. My youth leadership started in Toastmasters. I started, becoming very involved in leadership because I took on roles such as public officer or president role in Toastmaster, and I still continue to do leadership roles in university, such as being involved in the Electrical and Electronic Engineering Society. But today's episode is one that I look very forward to. The title is Through the Lens of a Youth Leader. And we are here to explore one big question. What does it mean to lead as a youth leader? Now, the United Nations defines youth as people who is between the age 15 and 24. And I know there's many different ways to define youth. But in many contexts, youth can broadly refer to people from teenage years into late 20s or early 30s, which I think most of us are kind of that age right here. But what exactly is youth leadership? Now, youth leadership refers to the process by which young people take initiative, make decisions, and influence others in positive ways, whether in their schools, communities, homes, or broader society. There is youth that's organizing movements, launching ideas, and building businesses, making the change that we want to see in society. But leadership in a young age comes with a very unique set of challenges, right? from from being underestimated to balancing personal growth with public responsibilities to navigating mentorship. It's not a one-size-fits-all. No. So today I am joined by two incredible guests, both youth leaders in their own rights, who will be sharing their stories, insights, and lessons learned from leading where they are. The first speaker I have is Hanan. Hi. Hanan she's from the Middle East and she moved to Malaysia to study psychology. And fun fact, she's doing a master's in clinical psychology in UCSI. And I'm sure during university life, she's also involved in lots of leadership roles. And I would like to know her perspective in youth leadership later on. Joining us, I also have another speaker number 2, Francis. So Francis is a very interesting person. All right. He works as a banking service manager with Public Bank Bernard, a Malaysian bank. But he's also exposed to leadership at a young age. Since high school, he became a youth leader at his local church, and eventually he led the dance and drama ministry before his career as a banker. And I find that very interesting. Like I was reading through, I was like, wow, that's an interesting man. He must have lots of experience about youth leadership. Can't wait to hear about it. So whether you are a young leader yourself or you're mentoring young people or simply curious what youth leadership looks like, this episode is just for you. So let's get started. Is my speakers okay? Give me a sign. Yeah, everyone's saying okay, good. Hi. All right. So I would like to start with an open-ended question first. I think I will start with Francis, if that's all right. Hi, Francis. Would you like to speak? How are you?
Hi. Yes, I'm good, Kirsty. Yes, I can speak right now.
Yes. He's audible, he's visible, he's fine. All right. I would like to ask you a question. In your own words, what makes a youth leader different from any other kind of leader? Is there a certain value, a certain special quality of a youth leader that you think makes them distinct from other leaders?
Great. Thank you so much, Kirsty. So I think I will start off by introducing myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Francis Devineur. I'm actually a banker with Public Bank Berhad. banking services manager. But before I embarked on my journey as a banker, I've had a privilege to be a youth leader back in my local church in Kuching. It is with a youth ministry called Empowered, and I was the dance and drama leader. And to me, a youth leader is not only defined just by age, but by the way we actually lead. Because by our age itself, we are quite young. That's why we are called youth leaders, right? So, and also we not only lead with the responsibility of a leader, but we also lead with our heart. We also lead from the ground level. We started off from the ground itself without any experience. And the difference is we also lead while we are still growing. So I had the privilege, I mentioned just now that I've grown up with the dance and drama ministry. So what I did in the ministry itself is that I've led performances, I've choreographed dances, and also hosted youth camps for all of my youth themselves. Right, so the value that I believe is important for a youth leader would actually be number one, creativity, because we could not lead as how usual or normal leaders lead. Number one, we do not have any experience, so we only have to lead by our own way of being creative itself. Another value that I believe would play an important role would be empathy, because we have to be there to be with our youth themselves, because they are of our same age and we are leading them to be a better person. All right, and also by doing this, being there with them since they were young, it creates moments for them and they will commemorate them in their hearts. And lastly, I would believe would be purpose, because youth leader is different from any other leaders because we lead with a purpose, because we have a young energy that have a vision to create something new, and that is what I believe the values of a youth leader. And I believe I can answer that through that, and I pass it on to you, Kirsty.
That is a very spectacular answer, Francis. Thank you, Francis. If I were to summarize what you said about youth leadership, what makes us very different is that, we are somebody who is, one, we are very driven. If we have a purpose, we are going to go for it. But another thing is that though we're inexperienced, we have the energy to actually be like, okay, we learn on the fly and we're going to just gain the knowledge and experience failure, but we're going to, get back up and, lead the team regardless. So I think that is something that is very cool about youth leadership. We're very adaptable. But let's look at another perspective. Let's ask Hanan. Hanan, are you here? Would you
I'm
Oh,
here.
it's okay. No worries. It's fine. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, good. Very good. I would like to ask the same question to you too. In your words, what makes a youth leader different from any other kind of leader?
Mostly, in my opinion, am I audible first enough?
Yeah, audible.
Okay. In my opinion, what distinguishes youth leaders from other is the uniqueness they have, the combination of courage, energy, and the deep desire they have about making a change. I usually notice these young people have the courage to challenge the exciting norms and way of thinking, even if it's feel uncomfortable or unfamiliar for them. They are ready to go for it, which is unlike some of the leaders who rely mostly on experience or authority. I find youth leaders often have a very clear vision and values that they are trying to apply where they are. Although they are still figuring out themselves, they try to have new perspective and think out of the box, which allow them to bring fresh ideas to where they are, to the space that could be stuck in old patterns. And I saw that in terms of bringing new technologies or talking about the topics that we didn't used to talk about, like mental health, or break some taboos. Uh, we can see it in universities environment. Nowadays, they are more open to talk about, have a public speech about religion and talk about politics, and we have lots of speech about even sex, which is something old generation maybe or other type of leadership try to avoid, and they just stuck with the norms. And what I like or I find unique about youth leadership in the term of this is they are not just trying to change the world, but they are going through this process while they're also growing as a person. Many of them, they are still in the journey where they struggle with self-doubt and a communication skill or even confidence. But through leadership actions, whether it's speaking in public or organizing a project, or even if it's small leadership a process like helping a friend or helping a family member, they grow into stronger and more self-awareness as individuals. So this is what I found it different about youth leadership, especially. Actually, it's a process uh, that mix of personal growth and making a change in the world side by side. I hope I answered your question, Kirsty.
A lot of what you said, I definitely agree. Don't you worry, Hanan. If I were to summarize what you said about youth leadership, a lot of it kind of resonates with me. As a youth leader, you're kind of open to a lot of new perspective, but also like you're not shy away from topics. In fact, you're very open to changing your mind about certain things or being more educated and talking about certain issues, which I think is something that we are seeing now in university or like the recent generations, I guess. But yeah, after this very open-ended question, I do want to ask a question to Francis. Francis, you here?
I'm here. I'm
You're
here. Don't
here.
worry.
Yes, you're not lost. I'd like to ask you a very cool question to ask your experience. Is there ever a time you step into leadership when no one expected you to?
That is a very good question, Kirsty, and I do appreciate it. I believe, yes, I do have a moment like that. And it happens when I hosted a camp for dancing, a dance camp. It was the first of a kind when I did it for my youth, back in my church, because I see there's a potential for it to be done, and no one actually says anything because at that point of time we were all discussing. I still remember we were all discussing among each other, all the youth leaders together, and we were talking about what can we do for the youths, what can the youths actually learn to act, to utilize their talents, for example, because dancing is one of my favorite hobby, and it's a talent that I didn't know I had until I tried it out. So because of that, I actually wanted to do something. And I do step up and told all my leaders, everyone, I believe a dance camp is a very good opportunity to be hosted here in Kuching because we have a lot of youths here that needed something to let out their creativity, to let out their inner desire. Because dancing is a way, I believe, yeah, for youth to actually voice out their own opinion, but through their body movement. And I push myself to act that way, to host a dance camp. So without any resources available, I started it off with just a friend of mine. I remember I contacted a friend of mine from the Philippines, and he came over to Kuching. He is a dance director in one of the biggest dance studio in Philippines, Manila, and he actually went overseas. For example, if you know World of Dance, if you have heard about it, he went and also judged some of the participants. So he's a very active member in his dance community there. So I invited him over. I still remember his name is Jason, I think. Our Kuya, he came over, means brother, huh? Kuya. So he came over and he taught some of my youths how to dance, how to express himself. And through that outlet, when I step into leadership, I provided that avenue for them to express themselves out. I realized that youth have something in them that they wanted to let out, whether it be frustration in life, perhaps they want to let out their creativity. And that's when I believe leadership, if you do not utilize it, you would not be able to see the potential in the people around you. And that's what I believe, how I step up into leadership when no one expected me to. That's all from me. Oh, over to you, Kirsty.
Thank you for sharing, Francis. That is quite an achievement. I would like to clap my hand and be like, "Whoa, that you slay." But yeah, if I were to say something about your experience, is that I think what you did kind of give a platform for the youth to actually, utilize their ability, especially like dancing is something that is very creative, something that, some people have want to show their creative expression or like artistic expression. And I think in a sense, what you did is kind of giving back to the community, but also uplifting young people so that they can show their untapped potential in a sense, which I quite like it. I mean, that is something that I can see why you're so into leadership, because you really do see the potential if you don't tap into it. Uh, but of course, like with everything, with every youth leader, there's always going to be problems. There is always going to be challenges. It's never going to be smooth. So I would like to ask this question to Hanan. Hello, Hanan.
Hello.
Hanan, what are some of the most difficult challenges you have faced as a youth leader?
Okay, I believe there are different challenges that youth leaders could face, and I would define them like internal or external challenges. And when I say internal challenges, I mean something related maybe to the lack of experience. For example, they may struggle in adopting the leadership style, which doesn't fit their own personality. They are trying to have something that's far away from who they are. They couldn't discover yet the uniqueness of their own character and personality, and they don't trust their own thought and idea enough, which is lead to burnout or self-doubt. Also, beside that, they may still in the process of building some skill that's important for leadership, such as time management, problem solving, or having flexible mindset and attitude. On the other hand, when I say like external challenges, this could be more associated with age-related bias. Like sometimes maybe other people don't take them seriously when they bring new idea to the place, or they could be rejected and they are not prepared how to deal with that. And this has happened most of the time when they try to invite something new, like technologies or different working method. I personally faced that during my internship. I remember when we suggest, me and another trainer intern suggest to have a more easier and flexible way to provide reports. And all the older member, they just say no, and it's like you're still learning, so you just follow what we ask you to do. So I think these are some of the challenges that these youth leaders could face in their journey.
enough. True enough. I definitely resonate with what you said about like how your ideas could get denied or rejected, even though you're just giving an idea, you're just voicing out something, but then you get rejected face down, and then you realize like, are you not taking my opinions? Like, you're taking it for granted. I guess that is something that a lot of us young youth leaders kind of experience. So I definitely can relate to that. I definitely want to ask a question to the guests because this is something that I would like to know. Uh, can I summon Nick as a guest? Nick,
Yep. Hello. Can you
hi.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello.
Summon.
You see me?
I'm summoning. Yes.
Hi.
I know, Nick, I know you're involved in some of the leadership roles in university. Fun
Yes,
fact,
Sam.
he's the president of Bulgarian society. So, what challenges do you think you face as a youth leader then?
That's a good question. Okay, so yeah, so some of the roles that I do in university is I'm the president of the Bulgarian Society, and I also got elected as the like the European representative for the International Students Committee. So in other words, like I represent all of the European societies as well. Uh, and I think one of the challenges I've had is trying to understand how you can kind of organize yourself, but also organize the group of people that you're responsible for as a leader. So like I know one of the big troubles that we have as some of the European societies is a lot of them are like really small. So having to get all of the leaders and trying to communicate with all of them and them being like open to back and forth communication is quite difficult because uh, I think a lot of them are just not very used to it. And a lot of their societies are just kind of like uh, I don't know how to describe it. Like very small societies, so they don't participate a lot in like big events, or they don't want to like, they're not very comfortable with like stepping out there and putting themselves forward. So yeah, I think that's one of the challenges I've had as a youth leader.
I mean, definitely communication with other groups leaders are something that we experience in university a lot, especially when we have to do collaboration. I think that's something we have to learn firsthand when we come to university. But thank you, Nick, for sharing your perspective
Thank you.
on the challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. uh, but yeah, so the challenges as being a youth leader, credibility, self-doubt, but also learning to be able to communicate, adjusting leadership styles. Those are the few things that Hanan and Nick kind of pointed out being a youth leader. But of course, as a youth leader, we have somebody to guide us through this whole journey. And I would like to hear it from Francis, if you mind. Hi, Francis. Hello again. Francis, a question for you. All right. Can you share a story about a mentor or role model who helped shape your leadership journey?
Yes, Kirsty, yes. I can share with you of I believe there's this one man that plays a vital role in my leadership journey. And his name is Calvin. I believe if you have heard about my speech during one of my area contests, I've mentioned him being one of the important role models that shaped my MC journey. So why Calvin? He is actually my leader, my past leader for dance and drama, and he's a leader that helped me to shape my own leadership style, for example. And the term gasaja, which means to go ahead, is just like Nike's own motto, just do it. So what he told me is that even though leadership gives you the scare because you have no experience at all, you can only gasaja, which means just do it. Because there's no right or wrong in leadership. Again, also he told me that leadership itself is not an easy task, but it's an opportunity for us to take responsibility to help out others, to serve others. All right. So what Kelvin did is that he guided me throughout my whole journey, and throughout all of the events itself, I go and talk to him. I went to him, talked to him, and asked for his advice. How can I lead? For example, I still remember there's this one moment where my youths in dance and drama were having a problem at that time, and an issue where we have to face another leader where he was not happy with our performances. And as a new leader in that youth ministry itself, I didn't know how to talk to that leader itself, because that leader is our elder. So what Kelvin taught me is that you have to respect your elder. Yes. But you, as a youth leader, have your own voice as well. And when you go and talk to him, you talk to him out of respect, but you must also to respect yourself. So point out your opinion to him, tell him what you need to do, and you just gas saja. And I remembered after talking to the leader itself, our elder, he actually allowed us to do backup performances and to improve more. And that's how he actually taught me. And I still remember as well that I was absent for more than 1 year from the ministry. And the person that keep on finding me is my youth leader, Calvin. So to wrap it up, being a youth leader doesn't mean that you have to lead only, but you also have to be there and support your members as well, especially when they are facing harder times. And that's all from me. Thank you, Kirsty.
That is a really, really good answer, Francis. I think a lot of the time when as a youth leader, not necessarily you're a leader, maybe you're a member of the team, and you feel like you can't speak out, or you feel like, my opinion is not validated. Like, why should I be talking? And I feel that there should be a space for all of us, uplift each other, to be able to voice out what we think and to support each other regardless. Like, let's say like an idea is being rejected. It doesn't matter. It's more like a different perspective, and we can come to terms or compromise, meet halfway there. So I think that's a very important thing to know as a youth leader. There is always compromise, but we should always be open to listening to other people. Other than that, maybe Hanan could also share us who has shaped her leadership journey. So, Hanan, could you come?
Who had shaped my leadership journey? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I cannot say like there's a person who shaped my leadership journey, but definitely my leadership journey starts with Toastmaster. When I joined the community, and you know how we have some rules like TM, and we need to do some project and so on. I think each member in the club that I used to belong to, which is Azam Toastmaster Club, helped me to shape my leadership style. But mostly is my mentor, whose name is Voni. Voni helped me to listen to myself more, to understand my style of leadership and my own style of communication. Whenever we had meeting together to evaluate my performance or how I did in certain project, she doesn't come with an answer for me for my question. She has her a way, very smooth way to let me answer my own question, to find my own answer. And that helped me to have more connection with my inner voice, with myself, and evaluate myself and have the courage to apply my own ideas and style of leadership. So I think this is the first person, she is the first person, Voni, who support me in this journey and give me the confidence to continue. And actually, her words are with me, although we are not in daily connection right now, but her word is always with me and help me to move forward.
She's in the energy. She's in the air. That was so sweet, though, Hanan. I really like it, and I think if I were to say what I have learned from what you said, it's more like, being a youth leader is more like having the self-confidence in yourself to know that even if things doesn't go right, you know that you have values that you can bring to the table, and you know you can lead the team. So that is something that I really like from your friend. She's such a nice person. Thank you, Hanan. Of course, after talking about our mentor and role models that shape our leadership journey, there are other things that shape us as a leader, especially us youth, because right now we have social media, and we also come from different cultures as well. So this is a question I want to ask to Francis, if he's okay. All right. So youth today they grow up exposed to many different ideas, global ideas, and values and leadership methods. How has your cultural background or online exposure influenced the way you lead?
Thank you, Kirsty. I believe, for example, I've already mentioned how Kelvin, for example, told me you have to respect your elders. And that is a cultural background that I grew up in. Because we as Malaysians, we as Bruneian, we as Asian, for example, we hold our elders on a high respect, on a high regard. And because of that, we have a tendency to actually respect them and follow what they see more often than we should. And because of that, we oftentimes neglect our own feelings or sometimes neglect our own opinion just to respect them. However, I also believe that my exposure to it, social media, for example, uh, I grew to actually be more open and be more, it's not to say apprehensive, but be more brave and courageous to talk to other people, especially our elders. If they have something that we need to go against, we can voice it out to them because we believe that everyone have their own opinion. Because if we do not voice out our opinion, our organization could be dead. All right. So because of what I have seen, it shaped me to be a leader that is very much brave enough to voice out my opinion while also held a respect towards my elders themselves. And I believe books as well shape my own life, especially as a leader back in my days, because my youth leader experience was actually based on my high school days till university. I didn't have much exposure to its social media until like a later age. All right. So books themselves also influence my own upbringing as a leader because I do buy a lot of books regarding leadership because I was so into leadership and I wanted to actually be a better leader, not for myself, but for the people around me. So I still remember about a few books I've bought. Seven. Okay, now I don't remember what book it was that, but there was something effective leadership. If I'm not mistaken. So don't blame me. It has been a long time since I read my book because now I depend on my social media. This is how I actually learn how to be a better leader. And yes, this is how these things actually shape my own leadership style, especially today. I hope that answers your question, Kirsty.
Definitely. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Terence have read something. Terence read the same books. Ooh. Yes. I mean, definitely, social media and books can help us influence the way we lead people. But I think what I want to comment about you is that you kind of have this kind of like growth mindset in a sense, like you're constantly developing, finding ways to how to improve your own leadership methods. I mean, there's so much culture and social media can influence the way you lead, but most of the time is you have to be the one deciding like which one do you want to do, what kind of things do you want to adopt. So that is something I want to comment about you, Francis. You're definitely someone who constantly trying to grow himself. I think I want to point this question out to another guest, probably, but this time I'm going to ask, can I ask Bhuvi? Bhuvi, do you mind? Aww.
Hello.
Hi, Bhuvi. You're not a guest, I'm sorry. You got a row.
Listen.
But Bhuvi, every time I listen to you, you always have a very cool perspective, and I would like to ask the same question to you too. How has your cultural background or online exposure influenced the way you lead?
Influence the way I lead, or I see my youngsters lead?
Good question.
I am always surrounded by my kids, so I feel the most influential thing that kids have in their daily routine is the games, and so much of games. Oh my god, Xbox, and I don't know what kind of games. They my kid today, he said it will be, I'll do it in fries in a bag. I think, what is that, fries in a bag? Means in a jiffy. So I didn't understand that slang. I didn't understand at all. So it's like they are mostly influenced by the social media, and he nowadays refuses to speak for a whole day to protest extra homework. So he calls it silent strike for students' rights. So he's just a teenager, but still he has that leadership quality. He knows how to blackmail mother, how to emotionally blackmail her. So they know the weak points and they make use of it and take advantage of it. So I think social media is the most influential stuff that is happening around for kids. So younger generations. And they are not afraid of us. They are not afraid of I'm in fact afraid of them.
If I were to say something, I probably think they are more strategic as a leader, meaning they know how to, in a sense, they know how to negotiate with people.
I would call them criminals in making.
Yeah, but who knows? They may use that skill in business. Who knows? Yeah, maybe very good like salesman, you see, using the charisma. But thank you, Bhuvi, for talking about how social media or like gaming can actually influence younger generation in the way maybe they are much more better in like talking with people, or like they just have a certain way of like dealing with things. Thank you, Bhuvi. I'm talking about your kids. I would like to point a question to Hanan. All right, Hanan. This is a good question. Yes. What are some real ways you have seen youth leadership create impact in your community?
Actually, right now, because I'm doing my postgraduated, as you said in the introduction, and I see that degree student, when you are in postgraduated, you see degree student as very young generation. You see as a kids actually, and we have different clubs in the university, and one of the club is for African club, and it have a student from different country in Africa, and one of them is Sudan. And when I look to these Sudanese students, how they lead the club and how they take the advantage of showing their culture and leading with their own style, with their own culture, actually this is the word, with their own culture, and how they could break all the stereotype and misinformation about their country. It's just amazing. They are very powerful. They know how to stand to themselves and their own country. Although, eh, as I think most of people knows, like right now Sudan is going in very bad time. So sometimes they conduct like a charity and some organization to help their own country. They lead with joy and love. Although they are in pain, but their love for their own community and for their own country give them the power to just show up and do as best as they can. When I look to them, I found them very inspiring and I learned a lot from them. And most of them are very, very young, like 18, 19, this age. And I'm so proud of them actually. So this is one of the examples that I like to talk about many time and share their story with others people. Back to you, Kirsty. I hope I answer your question.
I really like the things that they do. It's like, showing your own culture, but being open to, like, allowing people to learn about your country and your culture. It's something that I think we are beginning to see a lot even in university. When I go to university, I see like so many societies showing their different culture and traditions, and it's just a wonderful mixture of diversity itself, which it's really cool. But of course, with every single podcast, we have to wrap it up. It's been a very good conversation, I got to be honest here, but we need to end this podcast with a big bang, everyone. And I would like to ask this very last question to Francis and Hanan. So let's ask Francis first. What's one piece of advice you give to a young person who wants to lead but doesn't know where to start?
My advice to the young people who would like to lead without any experience, for example, there's only one sentence, and it's from the Sarawakian language. Just gas saja. Like what I've just mentioned, it means just do it. Is a synonym meaning to Mike's just do it as well. And because the only thing that doesn't hold us back as a youth is our energy, our passion, EASSIN, to actually lead, to just push forward. Because the only thing that holds us back is just time. Because if you do not do anything now, you will never do anything after this. So just gas saja. So to all the young people out there, whatever you want to do, either to lead in business or to lead in a social setting, or maybe perhaps lead in your family. Let's just go small. In a family setting, you want to lead as an older brother or an older sister. Just gas saja. Just do it with passion. Just do it with a positive intention. And just do it for the good of yourself and for the good of the people that you are leading. Experience doesn't mean anything. And experience is not to say that experience doesn't mean anything, but experience, I'm sorry, but experience is not the benchmark of a successful leader. Your passion and your attitude to do things is. So, final word, just gas saja. That's all from me.
Absolutely, just gas saja. Thank you, Francis, for a very, very passionate, influential quote of the day. I would like to ask Hanan, do you have any piece of advice you would like to give to young people who want to lead?
Okay, if a young person wants to lead and ask me where should I start, I would definitely say start from Toastmaster, where leaders are made, because this is a very good investment in yourself to be part of Toastmaster community. And to learn something and to learn it properly, you need to be in the right environment. Toastmaster is the environment that have everything a learner needed: a support, a guidance, a feedback, friends, everything that help you to have a clear vision and plan to yourself to grow up. And besides that, while you are learning or going through your journey of leadership, because sometimes I see these young leaders, they get a bit full of themselves. So if I will give them an advice, I would say don't stop being open to different perspective, especially those perspective coming from older generation. And try not to lose the balance between modern idea and your own culture, values, and authenticity. So this is my advice would be for a younger leader who wants to start. Back to you, Kirsty.
They say your limitation is what you think, and if you can able to adapt and compromise and learn from each other, continuously develop yourself, you become a very good leader. And for that, I would like to end the podcast, and I hope that everyone enjoyed the podcast. It was very interesting to hear from Francis and Hanan. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and the podcast is ending. Thank you.